This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by The Automatic Age by G&B Kamichuk. The story of a father and son navigating an automated apocalypse. Pick up your copy today at greatplains.mb.ca.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. I'm here with my long-suffering co-host, Justin Curry, also known the world over as Chasing Artwork, and our producer extraordinaire, Dan Vadeboncoeur. I am Gregory Kamichuk, and we're going to talk about something. Dan, your cat, is taking over the podcast.
Yeah, she's I know she wants attention, obviously. This is what she does. This is where I work, where I'm sitting right now at my desk. I work here all day, and she comes in when she wants my attention. She just sits here and stares at me. Pay attention to me. That's all she wants. And then she just wants to kind of bite my hand and play, and yeah. So sorry, I'll get rid of her.
No, I think it's okay. It's the evolutionary endowment of the cat as a fierce individual means that you can't just tell it no, break its spirit, and send it to sit at your feet like I can with my dog, for example, right? Which requires my love, but I can give it abuse and it still thinks it's love, and so it will do what I say. Whereas a cat will never be broken like that. So
that's true.
There's no point in trying to control it, Dan. Can't be controlled. Gentlemen, this, depending on when we post this, it doesn't matter exactly the time, but recently, how about I'll say that? Recently, I participated in a television pitch extravaganza hosted here locally in Winnipeg, but remotely also. Buffalo Gal Pictures did a speed pitching meet and greet, like speed dating, but pitching, to open up their tent flaps to different production pitches. And so I participated in that recently. And it was fun. It was fun. It's I talked to other people. So just for the dear listeners' sake, the structure of it was this. They posted about how they were doing it. I read that post and said, oh, I have a few things that could be developed into shows, movies, or streaming service platform related content. And because Justin and I are so often do what we call pitch season, where we just take our idea, we pick a format, and then we try to have it fit that format as a pitch document. I knew that it was not a giant labor to take something that I had already had an idea for and pitch it. So that's what I did. It wasn't what some other people probably went through. I know because I talked to them in the lobby of the event, even though it was a virtual lobby. You could gather and mingle with the people who had also arrived. Many of them panicked in race to the deadline of trying to assemble their pitches before. And I just found that this exercise we do here on the podcast, and we've done many times, of the story break, has proven to be such a useful tool in so many arenas. And man, so I want to do one of those later, but just real briefly, what I did was I pitched a project called Ambulance 13, which is the slugline for it, or the basic concept, the elevator pitch for it, is that it's an ambulance that answers calls to haunted houses. So the idea is that in every city there's a switchboard, for 911. When they get in a call, if it's from a specific address on their list of haunted addresses, then a specific team of OMTs, not EMTs, occult medical technicians, are sent instead, so that the person who is in distress doesn't have to explain to them, oh, it was a ghost, or oh, it was a vampire, or they don't need to hear it. They're just going to deal with the actual medical emergency on site. And I had been bandying this idea around for a while, so I had a number of images, and what I did is I took 5 of those images and I put them in order as a rough story that corresponded with my pitch. I got my pitch down to 3 minutes, where I explained who the main character was, what their motivations were, what the overarching themes of the show would be, what the pilot episode would feel like, and what an entire series would feel like, and what those punctuations of events would be. And I got that down to 3 minutes with some visuals, right? Like it's speed pitching. You're not there to give anyone more than the icing on the cake. They're not going to eat the cake. They're just going to look at it through the glass and decide if they like the icing, right? And then you follow up after. They say like, oh yes, we'd like to hear more of that. Here are the ways to follow up with us, or thank you very much, go away. So to some people, I'm sure, who are listening, that feels like very nerve-wracking, but to me, it was a very low commitment of time and energy, because I had already done all the work on a project that I didn't have time to make into a graphic novel at this point, and it wasn't on my radar, on my schedule of projects to do. But when the idea came up that someone else might make it, I was like, oh, I've always wanted to see this project come to fruition. Maybe this is the way to do it. The other thing that I think people get really nervous about is like sharing their idea. Justin, we've been in this situation many times, right? Where someone will come to us.
I'm not going to tell you my idea because you're going to steal it.
That's right. And I just want to disabuse people of that notion, right? Even if you run away and take the idea of ambulances and haunted houses, which I think is a good idea, the execution of it is an enormous amount of work and labor, right? Getting someone interested in the next step, great. If you can do that, fine. You'll still have to write that pilot and produce that show and get all the ducks in a row to make it quack, as they say. You're not going to be able to steal the idea, because the icing is not the cake. And which is one of the reasons why I like sharing that process with people, and why I like it when we do these story breaks sort of live between us, and then we share them with people, just to let everyone know that the real work comes later, right?
Aren't we we're kind of not on purpose, but we're inadvertently creating like a copyright date stamp by, like, when we publish the podcast with a story break. If somebody were to go and try to do that exact same thing, we could point to this podcast coming before their idea, right? Isn't that kind of like mailing
someone
yourself
pretty
a
conversant
document?
in the law? Yeah, it's funny you say that, because someone pretty conversant in the law explained that to me too. They're like, I know you're giving it away, but actually what you're doing is proving that you were there first,
right?
By releasing it into the public that way. Yeah. So
yeah, they'd have to prove that
there is some maybe what. Yeah. So Justin, maybe what we should be doing is we should be combing the world to find books and things that are similar to our podcast story breaks, and then sue those people and claim that they stole our idea.
I'm sure there's a company that would jump on board.
It's a great business model for acquiring IP.
Well, that's a whole thing with some law firms. Like, they just acquire like unique, weird little IPs and then try to sue people over them. Like, that's their whole business plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not be those people.
let's not be those people. Yeah. Let's not. Well, and we've been down that road before, you and I, in a small way, where we story broke with somebody at like a bar con. Yeah. And then the next year they made the book, and there it was. I can't remember if they gave us credit or not.
They didn't give us credit in the book. I do believe they did reach out and double check that they could do it, though.
You told us this story already in a previous episode.
Yeah, we story broke at a bar after a convention, a story that Greg and I had been working on, and then one of the people reached out to ask if they could tell a similar type of story, and then they went ahead and made that book based on our idea, but we didn't get credit in the book.
Is this Ted the Shield Tester?
Yes.
That's the one. Yeah.
That's the name of the
Yeah.
episode that we talked about. So just look up Ted the Shield Tester.
Okay.
You did perform a miracle. I may not approve of your methods, but I am proud of your results.
The thing here that I'll mention is that there was no animosity on our end.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and I bring it up not because it's bad, but because it does happen, and it's fine, right? Because when I looked through that book, that little story, there were so many things different. You know, it was the singer, not the song, and so there's no real worries there as far as like if I ever wanted to, if I was so in love with that concept and we wanted to run away and make it, we could make it so easily. Same thing with like Ambulance 13, right? It's a great premise and hook, but stories are more than that. They're more than the hook. Who the main character was of Ambulance 13, what her relationship was with her family, what the motivation and drive of that character, what the emotional engine of the story is. Those things I'm purposely not sharing because those are the parts that are personal to me and useful in the story writing, right? And anyone else that connects their own personal engine up to any kind of genre story would end up with something different. If you, well, and we see that in every Star Wars clone.
I was going to bring up Ants and a Bug's Life.
Yeah, there's a
right.
Yeah,
let's tell a story about an ant colony. Very, very different.
No. Yeah, that was such a weird time.
But that happens often. Like
that one was deliberate, I believe. I think
it was deliberate.
Yeah, Jeff Katzenberg had just left Disney and went over to DreamWorks, and he knew they were working on A Bug's Life, so he got another Ant movie going at DreamWorks, something like that.
But think about how often, like the think of all the comets, asteroid movies of like the 90s, right? Like, yeah.
2 asteroid movies, 2 Mars movies, 2 haunted house movies, 2 volcano movies, 2 tunnel movies, 2 cave movies, 2 underwater movies. We didn't get 2 Tunnel to the Earth's Core movies, but
I could have done with another one. I love the core. That was so
we got the core, and then there was also a release of Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Oh, right? There. Okay.
So not the same thing. Not really the same.
So, okay. So, what kind of story should we story break today? What kind of genre are you guys in the mood for? And for those of you who are tuning in for this as your first episode or don't know what we're doing, when we story break, we do a hybrid version of something called the +1, where we just hear each other's ideas and say, that sounds good, we add to it. It's something that you do in improv as well. And we hang it on a loose story structure, similar to Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey or Dan Harmon's Story Wheel. I have a version of it.
You mentioned that in a previous episode. Can you explain what that is? I've never heard of Dan Harmon's Story Wheel.
Well, Dan Harmon was,
I know who he is, but I just don't know about the story wheel.
Okay, so he has a story wheel that's turns all the elements of Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey into a verb association, so that you're always putting the active. Let me try to be a little clearer. I'm just going to pull it up, and we'll cut out my shuffling here.
Yep.
I thought he's just basically obsessed with the hero's journey and kind of translated his own version out of that.
Yeah, it's so similar to what I've done with my my own story thing. I'm just going to pull up the image here because it's if I have the real words, it's a lot easier to. I actually don't like his as much. But okay, so here we go. Segueing back so that you can edit this back together. Dan Harmon's structure of a compelling story is associated with the establishment of the protagonist, need, right? Something that isn't right. And then go, meaning now you got to go do something. Then you search, then you find, then you take, then you return, then you change. If you associate that or take that pattern and lay it over any 22-minute episode of Community, you'll find that almost to the minute, it follows it exactly. To the point where if you are interested in story structure, you can become quite annoyed at how close, like you can count and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A compelling speech will arrive now. Oh, there it is. Right. I use a similar system, which is based on Joseph Campbell, but Joseph Campbell is basing his off the structure of mythology and storytelling that has survived. A better way to think of it, or the way I like to think of it, maybe it's maybe not better, simply the way I like to think of it, is that stories are a technology that allows you to pass information in a way that will be remembered. And the more tuned up the technology is, the better you can transmit the real meaning of your story. And that real meaning might be separate from the story, right? The metaphor and the story are separate in this case. What I like to do is I structure it as 5 beats, right? It's a 3-act structure, but it's in 5 pieces. The first piece is dangerous secrets. People don't know things. They need to know them, right? It might not be dangerous, but I for the stories I write, that's how I think about it. Dangerous secrets, something that a character doesn't know, now they know it. Bilbo meets the dwarves and they're like, hey, there's a mountain full of gold and a dragon, you want to come, right? Then they have to overcome a fear. They have to overcome ignorance in that first piece. Then they go on a journey into danger. And in that journey, they have to overcome usually their own fear, their fear of leaving behind the world that they were in once before. I find it really useful to punctuate that piece of the story with a betrayal. They fear that they're losing their own world, and you want to remind them that, yes, this world is dangerous. Someone they know, something they trust, it can be an item, it can be a person, it can be a situation, betrays them and makes them look back, makes them wish they hadn't left. And then you have a real conflict, which I call Battle Mighty Monsters, where everything is at stake. There's no turning back. The thing is there. It could be Godzilla, it could be the angry grandma, but there's no turning back. Right. And in that thing, you're going to lose. You can't go on unless you're willing to lose something. Right. Everyone at that stage of the story must be changed. If they cannot lose a part of themselves, they don't get to go forward in the story. And that's where you in a story that has violence as a plot element, that's where you have your casualties. It's usually at this point. Right. Which then moves you into challenging evil, where you face cruelty, right? It can be the cruelty of the previous scene, like you're facing the cruelty of what you just lost, the utter hopelessness of that burden that you now carry as a result of having passed through that previous battle, right? You can't go back anymore. You've faced a betrayal. You've overcome ignorance. You'll never be the person you were before. And that can be a cruel transformation that you have to go through. And usually at the end of that, the last section is usually the shortest part of the story. It's your third act, if you will. I usually categorize it as a baffling mystery because, again, of the kinds of stories I like to write. I don't like to tie it all off with a bow. I like to have a character return changed, but there's a mystery of a much larger world that they're now ready to undertake a new journey on if they would be willing to do so. So you usually plant your clues. In episodic storytelling like comics or movies or video games, this is the perfect time to plant the seeds of what the other thing is, right? Whatever the after credits scene shows up here.
It's part of the game.
Game? The human body's not a jigsaw puzzle to experiment on.
Still playing it safe like the other doctors, hmm?
I was thinking, I just finished my second run through of WandaVision.
Oh yeah.
I watched it along with everyone else, and then I just binged it again this week because we're talking about it on Media Nerds this week. And that what you just described is WandaVision. That is the exact structure of WandaVision.
But here's why. Here's why it's WandaVision. Here's why it's everything. Here's why it's Assassin's Creed. Here's why it's the Smurfs. Here's why it's Garfield and Calvin and Hobbes. It's all those things, right? It's Minecraft. It's all those things because we as a fleshy organism store information in our minds, and we key that information according to emotion. Our emotional recall is best served by sudden drama. Story is drama. When you can present information in a dramatic way, it is remembered, retained, and passed on. It's not that every story should be this structure. It's that stories that are this structure spread more easily.
Right.
Right. And there are reams of research data that back up this notion. There are enormous amounts of people's life works correlating world mythologies. But the thing to think about is that there are, there are societies, there are 1,000-year-old societies that didn't have the wheel, right? But what they all had in common is they told stories, right? It's a technology that we have used for a long time to control people, to inspire people, and to entertain them. And the best kinds are the ones that do all of those at the same time. So let's make one up. What genre should we pick?
So while you were talking, I was thinking about what kind of genre, what kind of story. I would like to tell a bottle episode of some kind. Whatever genre we pick, we should. I like movies where we meet the protagonist. They're in a room. They don't know how they got there or what's going on, and the majority of the story takes place in said room with that surrounding. So just because I'm me, I automatically went to like futuristic astronaut wakes up with no memory on some kind of big sci-fi ship and has to figure out how to escape or survive or whatever. Bottle episode.
So the whole ship is the bottle?
My son, or I should say my executive producer, my son whispered to me from off camera here that the first episode of The Hollow is very similar to that, Justin. So I think you're in good territory.
I'm not familiar with The Hollow.
It's a Netflix series. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My other son gives it a solid endorsement. Very good show, he says. I have not watched it either. Every time I would like come into the room while they were watching it, something completely different. The genre was 100% different. The storytelling pace was totally different. It seems to have some kind of dream logic. I'm not sure, but I will research and get back to you. So we have an astronaut in a bottle.
Or how about bottom of the ocean in some kind of high-tech facility, like glass ceilings, glass walls, glass everything. They're hundreds of meters under the water surface, trapped in some kind of like Bioshock-esque facility. And nobody has any memory of what they were doing there or how they got there.
Let's combine your ideas.
Okay.
They're astronauts in the ocean of Titan. So they're under the ice, right? Or is it Europa? Which one is it? It's Europa?
Europa. Yeah. Europa has the ocean.
Failed me. Yeah.
Have you seen that movie, Europa?
Yeah. So they're there.
Europa is the moon in 2010. The remember that one? The sequel to 2001?
There you go, Europa.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jupiter's moon.
Jupiter's moon, yeah. Has water, they think.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
They're pretty sure.
Yeah, the suggestion is that there's aliens there. Yeah.
Be so cool. We should go check it out.
It's funny, if you Google Europa, what Google suggests to me is that what people ask, the number one question, what is so special about Europa anyway? Oh my God.
Well, we should find out.
Okay, but
what is so special about Europa?
So the surface is frozen, covered with a layer of ice. Scientists think there is ocean beneath the surface. I don't think that's a think anymore. I think they're pretty sure, right? Makes the moon one of the most reflective in the solar system. So on this shiny moon, distant Jupiter, astronauts have found that it is like an ocean. with fish and plankton and whatever else, but they're in a little bubble underneath it. You couldn't study it from the top because the ice would be too thick. You'd have to be underneath it. So it's a double layer of isolation. I love it.
And should we add some kind of time?
What is it that they don't know that?
Okay.
Well, so Dan, what you're referring to commonly is known in screenwriting and in other places as the clock.
Yeah.
Right. You often try to add an element of like pressing time. This is when you do it. You usually, as you leave that first act, you want to have the clock well established. So yes, we should figure out something that they don't know and some reason why they're now in a hurry. It can sometimes get tiresome if you watch 2 or 3 science fiction movies in a row because they all have some kind of time countdown component.
Yeah, and as soon as you say
like,
as soon as you say underwater,
so obvious. Like
the underwater
the
compound, it's gonna be like there's pressure mounting. It's gonna implode, kind of leak somewhere that you can't stop. But it's a slow leak, right? So it's gonna take time.
The great new Underwater. Was it just called Underwater?
Underwater.
Yeah, I really like that movie. What about
that was the last movie I saw in the theater?
Yeah, that's right. What about a virus? What if there's some kind of alien virus and more humans are on the way, and so the ticking clock is to figure out how to not infect the hundreds of humans that are on their way from a dying Earth?
Okay, I got a +1 to that. I love it. So there's some deadly virus. The clock is not that the place is going to flood. The clock is that people are going to.
That's the obvious one. Yeah, and the obvious one is always the
is always the flood. But what if we made it that the facility is like the opposite of most science fiction facilities? It's not designed to self-destruct because facilities aren't designed to self-destruct in reality. Let's make this one not designed to self-destruct. And they're trying to overcome all the safety protocols to destroy this thing, to cause it to leak, to be ruined, to prevent people from coming. So they're racing against how well built the facility is while this virus is spreading, while this other threat is spreading inside of it. And they're actually, essentially, it's like a suicide mission where there is no, activate self-destruct protocol button that they can push. They actually have to do some elaborate destabilizing of the technology because it's too well built, right? Humans are too good at going to space and going under the oceans now, right? That there's just no way to smash it. What if it's like some kind of umbilical that drills down from a large space platform that's in orbit?
I like that.
And when that umbilical will connect, then it'll almost immediately go up to all the other people in orbit. So that's why the panic, right? That this umbilical is the danger, and that this virus is somehow better equipped. It's overcome all the other virus killing safety protocols of the future also, right? Like they don't worry about viruses because they have all these protocols and UV lights and injections, but this one's too alien. And so now it's loose. I don't want it to be a mushroom because everyone's doing mushroom stuff right now. I love mushroom stuff. The mycelium.
What jellyfish?
Oh yeah, right. I watched Star Trek. Yeah.
Paul Stamets, he's a great dude, very like exceptionally smart, but he's pervasive in science fiction now, his ideas. So we need to steer away from that. But I think Justin said it again, jellyfish, some kind of jellyfish thing.
What's locked behind that door?
Horror. No normal mind can imagine. Something even more terrible than you.
You know how coral can talk to each other? Like coral has some kind of telepathy that they don't understand. Like you do something to coral on like one side of the planet, the other, like it reacts to each other. It's this whole like cool scientific phenomenon. Look it up, coral telepathy. But what if this planet has a network of like jellyfish-like things in the ocean, and Europa is in fact one big brain, it's alive, the entire planet. And so
that's,
one of
that's
our
the big reveal at the end, right? Like that's what they
or maybe
ultimately
it's
discover.
the reveal, but like maybe one of the little crew members, they take in a jellyfish to study it. It connects to them, and now we have like a voice of the planet talking through this person. Like they kind of taken over by the planet entity.
There was that great Star Trek episode with the silicate entities where they get one of the crew to talk and they refer to the crew as fleshy bags of mostly water.
I love it. Yes.
Which I've never forgotten.
Is that the
That's also a
nano
lyric in the song. You guys remember my definition of a boombastic? I don't remember the name of the song, but that's a lyric in that song as well. Bags of mostly water. Sorry.
No.
So yeah.
Okay, so
good.
I love that. So the other thing too is that you'd have these scientists, they'd be able to refer to things in the real world that people on planet Earth could understand. We have these enormous organisms like forests that are all one entity, right? Like we have coral on Earth that has this coral to live. They could be referring to elements of nature where this is not so rare, right? And they're just so surprised that it's that much more advanced and enhanced here,
right?
On this world, which would be really cool. The other thing that it's interesting, which is good to note from a story breaking perspective, is Dan has revealed to us or given voice to the fact that this is a big idea, something that can be revealed. So you have to decide in your story whether or not your reveal can be escalated upon. If it can't, it goes at the end. But if you can escalate it, then it goes at the beginning and you figure out what that escalation is. Right?
So what if when this person first gets... Go ahead.
No, you.
When this person gets taken over by the jellyfish, there was that not the zombie movie where they had one of the zombies was getting smarter, like he was trying to use a telephone and stuff like that. The Day of the Dead, one of the zombie movies.
Yeah.
Anyways, but jellyfish zombie astronaut could be blundering and stupid at first, and as the entity gets better and better at puppeting him, he becomes more intelligent, more eloquent, and starts talking, and then it's a reveal at the end what he's being puppeted by.
Can that be our working title? Jellyfish zombie astronaut?
JZA. JZAs. Jesus. Okay, so I like that. So if that's true, the way that you evaluate this, dear listener, the way you say to yourself, can it be part of my story, is you simply say, yes, it is. It's now part of my story. And because it is part of my story, what happens next? Right?
He has to infect more of the crew with terrible jellyfish effects, practical effects, tentacle-y things.
Yeah, I like it.
Listen, I just finished editing the last episode to post, and we talked with Steve Kostansky, and you guys might not remember it, but he did say that tentacles are this. By the way, are we talking about what medium are we talking movie, TV, or whatever? We decided that. What medium is this going to be? Or
we don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Because tentacles, we talked about it. You said they're really
at this point. Well, in your story breaking, we don't figure it out.
Okay, because tentacles are easy to draw, but they're very difficult to make in real life. So, and Steve can attest to that. But I'm okay with tentacles.
Yeah, tentacles as a practical effect, terrible. But you know what's great about a jellyfish, as a visual gag, as a visual element, if you were making a film, is when they're out of water. They're just visible blobs, and they're gross and slimy and horrible. But right. And when they're in the water, they're wonderful. So you could use real jellyfish, photography of real jellyfish as the basis for your visual effects. And then outside of it, you would just have this big slimy snot piles, right? And
the blob.
It'd be disgusting.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have the tentacle problem, right? You wouldn't have the tentacle problem. Okay, what if these jellyfish aren't, what if what they do, I'm just trying to think of a way to make it so that you'd want one. What if what they do is they try, part of their function in their own natural habitat is to increase um, some kind of chemical along the life chain. And what it does when it connects to a human brain is it produces all kinds of serotonin or all kinds of joy, right? All, like you basically, like what it does is it elevates your consciousness and your imagination all at the same time. And so the scientists, when they get it on them, they're not like, oh my God, we got to stop it. They're like, whoa, this is amazing. You should try this, right? And they're almost like cult-like in their efforts to spread it, right? That they're actually acting from a place almost of love, and that would make them so creepy and cult-like, where they have this like slimy jellyfish gunk smeared across their face, neck, and chest, and they're like, right, just embrace me, just, you know, be one. Maybe once they embrace, they stick together and become like a big organism.
That would be gross and amazing. I like
Right?
that.
Yeah.
And
They could wear the jellyfish kind of draped over their shoulders, so it's like attaching to the back of their neck, like their brainstem.
Yeah, brainstem. Yeah, that's good. Or their guts. You know, like there's all this like research about how much you know, quote unquote thinking might be occurring in our overall circulatory system, and that our guts, you know, the idea of the gut feeling is maybe not an old wives' tale, but actually part of your thinking occurs across your whole body. And so maybe they stick somewhere that's like, you know, maybe they burrow in through your navel.
They're like Krang.
Yeah.
Like in your stomach.
Yeah.
And
Right. Or wherever they get on you, they just turn you viscous a little bit. And so you're like droopy and slimy. And then when you connect that to the other person's viscous thing, now you merge.
so are we kind of, and again, I know I hate to compare to other things, but just to kind of get a sense of this, are we talking about like an invasion of body snatchers kind of thing, where it's like there's a group of people who are trying to stop the spread of this organism?
I think at first, yeah, they would have to be trying to stop it. So like your first act is like the ignorance is, what is this alien thing?
Yeah.
Is it useful to us? Oh, look, it's proof of intelligent life on this planet. And so they're of course excited. And then it gets on one of the scientists. And then when you're moving into from dangerous secrets to that journey into danger, it's like, what can we discover about this? Oh, it is intelligent. Oh, it's actively intelligent. Oh, it's trying to communicate with us. Oh, it's on me now. Oh my gosh, right? The journey of that is a journey of discovery of the danger of the organism. And then
I've got the ending can be whatever happens, we blow up the facility, and our lone surviving astronaut is sinking to the bottom of the ocean, and the entire bottom of the ocean starts to glow blue. And you see it's just one big, huge organism. And then the blue tentacles start to reach up for her. And that can be the end of the movie.
Yeah, I love it. And you know what you could do is you could have it mirror this idea of the umbilicus that we had at the beginning. You could have this long tendril lifting up through the icy surface and out to space to the very space platform they protected. Right, like now it's aware of them, and so it's going to try and make contact, so that you have this nice terrible ending of like, oh, maybe we won. Oh, maybe the universe doesn't care about us. Maybe it's just going to constantly, life finds a way. Thank you, Jurassic Park.
So they destroy the underwater facility, but at the end, the big giant monster starts to come up to the top facility anyways.
Yeah, and maybe what you could do is you could have this thing about like how the creature of the Europeans, right, are the Europeans never believed that there was intelligent life beyond the edge of the ice, that there was no world beyond the edge of the ice, right? They live in this sphere, and
or maybe they've just eaten everything.
There's another world, a whole universe.
Maybe they've just eaten everything there was to eat, and they've been so hungry for so long, and they're so excited that now they have more food. Kind of like was it The Faculty, where the aliens drank all the water on their world and came to ours to drink our water.
Oh, is that why they came? I forgot.
Yeah, they dried out.
I'm not
So they
using clips
came
from
to
that
find
movie
another
again.
world. Okay, fine. It's a great movie, though.
I've already done it though. We've already used clips from that movie in this podcast.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna find you some great 50s sci-fi clips.
Yeah, this is turning into like a great B horror movie, I think.
Yeah, yeah. It does. I mean, I know we said, bottom of the ocean. Oh, I guess that does. Yeah, that does make a difference. I was gonna say it could happen anywhere. We could move it to a different type of facility.
It's true.
But I like that it's on Europa. I think there is. I think there is something special about Europa. So we should stay there.
What makes you think I'm afraid of what's in there? Or of you? A mere head in search of a body.
People fear what they don't understand.
One thing I am now reminded of is that Europa has this. In my memory, I know this fact, but I hadn't connected it to Europa, that it has these like ridges where the ice presses against itself and like these scars. It's like this pockmarked, slashed up world, and I just think it looks like a world under pressure, like where it's cracking and refreezing and cracking and refreezing, which is what is apparently going on there. But as a visual, I just find that would be such a great, frightening opening visual of this, shattered ice world. And that's not even the surface, and then we would go past the surface of it under the water into this other further layer of alien world. Escape wouldn't really be an option for our characters, right? We would have to establish that they're prepared to make that ultimate sacrifice, and that it's not maybe a big deal for them. And what if the reason they're willing to make that sacrifice is because their tiny human minds don't comprehend how great it would be to be connected to this larger organism. And so the people who are trying to stop them aren't the monstrous creature, but people who have just had brushes with it, right? Like someone gets a little on them and they cure them, right? But now they've had a taste of heaven, if you will.
They want it back.
And they want it back. And so those could be the real threats.
So once you have the jellyfish removed, all you want is to have another one put back on.
That's right. So that you would be able to motivate it still with human interaction and drama and argument and tension of like, you don't know what's good for you, right? Why do you get to decide for me? These are elements of everyday human interaction which make people pay attention to your story, right? If they can see themselves in it, then they'll pay attention. So you need to have some element of that.
I know I'm pretty sure Europa has like Jupiter shoots off a good amount of radiation, so they could just be on their orbit. Their communication is blocked by there's a big wave of radiation or a big flare of radiation is coming from Jupiter, so we have no contact with or other facilities or Earth or anything like that. So that could be like the blanket that covers our just phone home during the movie, at least.
Yeah, right. I like it. Well, one factoid that I know to be true in my list of useless factoids about space is that Jupiter gives off more energy than it absorbs from the sun.
Oh, fascinating.
It gives off an enormous amount of radiation. So, you could have it in such a way that maybe one of these other moons, because Jupiter has many moons, that only
62?
when the shadow of that moon blocks out enough of the radiation, right?
Or maybe that's what the jellyfish. Maybe that's what the jellyfish feed on. So when there's like an eclipse, it weakens it or makes it go dormant. Like it feeds on it. The closer to the surface, the stronger or bigger it gets.
Oh, it says.
You could have some element of like a stellar conjunction occurring that is changing its normal condition.
Yeah, we haven't seen this before because this has never occurred. Kind of like a pitch black, right? Like it's never been it's
Yeah,
only
once
dark on
every
this
so many
planet.
hundreds of years.
Yeah. And that's when this thing comes up to feed or do its thing. That's what all the scars could be. Is it?
Okay. It's yeah, I love that. It's like an egg. It's breaking out of the egg, but the time scale that we're talking about is so long, right?
Yeah.
That it looks to us like this frozen world, but it's actually an egg. And the ocean is like the white of the egg, and the creature is the yolk. Right?
So are we gonna make an omelet, or what are we gonna do with it?
Right. It
gonna
does
hatch.
beg for some 80s one-liners, right? But yeah, you could have this idea.
Can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, as they say.
Right? What if
what
they were there to find out was what if the Act 1 mystery that is solved? Because I love the idea that the whole planet is the creature, or the whole world is the creature, as the end. I do agree. That's great. What if what they're trying to solve is there's some evidence that Europa was a captured moon, right? That it once had a different trajectory, and that it
I think a lot of them are. It says here, you said it's 62, Justin. Actually, there's 79 moons.
Darn.
So very close. But
they keep finding them too. It changes depending on what year you look at.
They don't actually know how many there are. They say they think it's 79. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of those have been captured by the planet's gravity.
So what you could do is you could suggest that it was captured, and then you could say that what's weird about it is that it's changing its orbit. Right? And they don't understand what's causing it, what's going on. Like the center of the planet, like the core of its gravity is shifting around. And so
and that's what brings on the expedition to see what's going on.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you also have this idea that it's this life cycle, that what it's doing is it's getting ready to, crack the shell and become its own whatever, fling itself away from this nice, warm. When you said that Jupiter is so radioactive, it made me think that why the egg analogy is like when you put an egg in the little heater, right? You take it away from its little chicken mama, but you put it in the heater, you can still heat it up enough that it'll hatch. So you could put this egg in Jupiter's orbit, heat it up enough so that it hatches over a few millennia. And the danger might be that once it gets a taste for people, like they broke the surface and now it knows about Earth. So normally it would leave the solar system, but now it knows to go to Earth. And so they have to stop it.
So now our final scene is like a giant space squid slithering towards Earth through space.
Yeah, like a jellyfish, like the opposite of that first episode of Next Generation, where the giant space jellyfish hold hands and like sing a song of love. These could be like coming out to, scour the Earth of all life and intelligence.
Cool.
I like it.
That's good.
I like it. So from a story premise, Dan, I think what we're missing, which I'm going to call on Dan to throw in here. We're missing the human element. We have a reason for things to be happening. That's the plot. But we don't yet have a reason for anyone to care about that it's happening. Who's our main character?
Well, are we going to we want to be male, female?
We could pick gender later. I don't know if gender even matters.
Doesn't matter.
Case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Motivation matters more than gender.
Right.
Unless it's a romance.
Well,
right.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I don't think we need to complicate this with a romance.
And you could argue that even if it's a romance. Right.
So who's her character? Well, it's one of the it's one of the astronauts, as we said, right? Who is on this station and discovering this, but this person is not the one that gets touched with the goop. It's somebody else, right? So it's like her friend gets the goop on her and transforms, changes and stuff. Oh, sorry, Mike got messed up there for a second. It's not her, but so she's like seeing all the other members of the crew get turned into these different people because of this stuff, and she's trying to stop it. That's That's kind of her motivation.
Okay, so what if it's
Or
like
him or her. I don't know why I say her.
I don't know why this came to my mind, but it's my own self, it's my subconscious immediately thought of Steven Seagal in that movie where he's the cook. He's not the important guy, but it turns
Under
out
Siege.
Under Siege. Terrible. I'm not just saying that what we should have is a character who is a undersea super fighter.
That was
what
one
I'm
of his
saying
better
is
ones. That wasn't a bad movie. It's one of his
yeah, that
better
was a good movie. Yeah, that was a okay
Didn't
movie.
they make
But my
3 of
point
them?
is
I didn't see
they
the
made
other
a lot of
ones.
them, yeah.
I only
Yeah.
saw the first one.
The alcoholic has his bottle. The dope addict his needle. I had my research.
The point is that a person whose job it is to like cook food or repair or do maintenance wouldn't be doing the science and the collection.
Right.
And so they'd be safer from when the organism spreads, they'd be one of the last people for it to spread to.
Okay.
So who's a person that no one talks to in normal society? Who would be necessary to have on a space station or on an undersea station?
We could have some kind of disgraced military guy who really doesn't want to have anything to do with a bunch of bratty scientists, who's kind of like the commander in charge, but he's just like he's a pilot, and he wishes he was back in the military, but now he's got to babysit a bunch of scientists on a BS mission. One of those.
That's so 80s.
Yeah.
What if we go one better or one worse? Here's one. There's a subset where the indentured labor that built the colony are all criminals, like people who have to work out their sentencing.
This is so 80s. I like how this is set in the 80s now.
Right?
It's a movie. It's a movie set in the future, made in the 80s.
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
In the 80s, right? It's like the way my Arena City is set in 3080 instead of 20. But yeah, so you could have like some stratified society where basically, yeah, people who aren't good enough for anything except like screwing in bolts and like swimming out and doing underwater welding, like rig workers,
what was Lister's job in Red Dwarf? He was a custodian.
Oh yeah. There's like a custodian. Yeah, there's I had a friend, more than an acquaintance really, but he worked on like oil rigs, oil refineries, and told a number of stories of the tension between visiting geologists and like mineral scientists and like essentially oil scientists and the crews that run the rig. Like the people that keep them all alive are the people who keep that pressure under control. But the people who act like the whole world is for them are the scientists that show up to tell them what to do.
Oh,
right. So
I like
that
this. Yeah.
Same element.
And we could,
where
the
like
story,
the
world
maintain the undersea thing.
Yeah, like the world that we're in, space travel is so easy that it can just be a bunch of normal people who are doing the day-to-day stuff. It's not a bunch of specialized astronauts. They're just kind of average people on a paid contract.
And here's the great thing about that too. Aside from getting them there, which would be hard on them, if they were underwater welders, say, right? Those are people who are good at a job on Earth already. And when they found an environment that's identical to that environment, they're porting those skills over, right? Mm-hmm. Because these are not people who are building things in space. These are people who are building things underwater. Well, we already do that, right? So you could have a very stratified society within the little world of your story very easily, right? Where it makes sense that they wouldn't be on a need to know. Your job is just make sure there's no cracks in this baby, right?
Yeah.
Which also makes them the right people to try and dismantle it, to try and crash it, to try and bust it apart, to understand how hard it is to poke
what if they're what if they're the builders of this massive structure? So it's average people, but they have access to like big futuristic building machinery that they can use to kind of attack this massive creature. Like they're just laying the foundation for what's going to be a huge something or other in the ocean.
For some reason, I have this vision of someone in a like undersea exoskeletal mining crab kind of thing on the outside of the vessel that they're supposed to be living in. They're making a break for it on the outside in this little thing. And then what comes for them is this enormous, horrific creature, which is all the merged bodies of all the people that once lived on that station, is now scuttling after them with like 100 human arms and legs and heads and faces, all right, is a huge mass. And then they battle it.
So the end of Akira, but in the ocean. Yeah. Gotcha. Gross.
That's right. Yeah. All right. Well, we have reached the end of our story as the same time that we've reached the end of our episode of Super Pulp Science. Gentlemen, it's been so fun talking stories with you, breaking a story and giving our listeners a chance to run away and write their own space jellyfish astronaut story. This is Super Pulp Science and Gregory Kamichek reminding you that you should join the fight and make comments.